Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? Today we'll be doing a video of the 2020 Toyota Rav4 TRD Off Road. We'll do an outside walk around, an inside tour, and take it on a drive. Before we get into the rest of this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to Carson Toyota for providing me with this car to review. They're one of the largest dealerships in SoCal and can help you find the Toyota you are looking for. I'll link all their contact information below. Be sure to give it a call if you have any further questions on Toyotas. Alright, so starting off with the specs, it's just like every other Rav4 in 2020. It has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder pushing out 203 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. The MPG on this car is 25 in the city, 32 in the highway, and 27 combined because it's made to that 8-speed automatic, which we'll see how it drives in the driving portion of this review. The one thing unique to this car is the dynamic torque vectoring all-wheel drive with the rear driveline disconnect, because it's the TRD Off Road variant. Walking on the outside of the Rav4, the TRD Off Road trim appearance package is by far my favorite. Honestly, did a great job with the Rav4 body overall, but I feel like the off-road look suits his body the best. Looking at the front, we have a more aggressive front grille with a black stripe that connects the two LED fog light sections. But what I like most about this front bumper is the gunmetal gray bottom lip. I think a lot of people make a big deal over whether there are fake vents on the front fascia and how they're not real. But this look proves that not all black portions of a front bumper needs to be vents, since it just adds the aesthetic value instead. Going around the side, we have to talk about those rims. These TRD branded 8-inch matte black full-form rims really give this crossover its off-road character. What I'm really happy to see is that it's actually wrapped in a more aggressive treaded tire than the stock Rav4s. Peeking past the rims, you'll actually see the TRD springs, which give this car the half-inch lift compared to stock Rav4s. The biggest reason you get this car is because of the TRD-tuned McPherson front struts and the more aggressive stabilizer bars. One other unique feature in the suspension is the jounce bumpers. This is a bump stop at the end of the suspension which helps absorb sudden shocks. Off-road, this helps when bottoming out your suspension, but more importantly, in Los Angeles streets, you won't get completely destroyed when your car drives over potholes and other wild street features we experience here in Southern California. Going to the top, you have a sunroof and factory black raised roof rails for attaching equipment. Going on the rear, the first thing you'll notice are the blacked out badges unique to the TRD off-road trim. This does come with a power liftgate with jam protection. The rear of this car has a blacked out upper section, giving the roof that floating look, which I like. Unfortunately, you can only appreciate it on non-black colors. Going on the inside, you'll immediately see the TRD branding all over the car, from the rear headrest to the floor mats. The faux leather seats feel great, and the red stitching is a nice touch. One thing I really like is the texturized rubber handle surface on the back of the door handle, which is great because one, it's actually helpful when closing the door and gives your hand a firm grip, and two, it also adds to the rugged nature of the TRD off-road trim. When it comes to tech and the infotainment system, it's the 8-inch Intune system. I'll link below a video I did on the 8-inch system in a Prius. It's the same system and you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. From a safety standpoint, there is the standard Toyota Sense 2.0, which has a plethora of safety features such as blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control at all speeds, roadside detection, pre-collision warning, lane keep assist, and cyclist detection. Okay, that's gonna wrap it up here. If there are any other options you have questions about, comment it down below. I'll be sure to address it in upcoming Rav4 videos. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button so it's shared with others who might be interested in it as well. And consider subscribing for more Toyota Rav4 content like this and other Toyota content in the future. And with that said, let's take this thing on a drive. All right guys, so we're in the car, it's on, and just first impressions as we sit in the car is, I'm a huge fan of the added touches they did from a branding standpoint for the TRD off-road model. Like the red accents on the inserts here around the cup holders, the floor mats. I think I'm by far my favorite part of the car. I never thought I'd be so obsessed with floor mats. You know, they're not that significant to the drive. But anyway, yes, so let's just get a feel for how this thing drives with the upgraded suspension, that McPherson front strut suspension, the tuned TRD off-road setup, and then we'll try a little bit of these drive modes here since there is the whole off-road selector, terrain selector. So we'll give that a shot. We're hitting here in reverse. You do have a ton of different options. I showed a little clip of that. You can have a wider view or a narrow view, and then you have your projection lines, which I love. I'm a huge fan of that. Some Toyotas don't include that. I have to see if that's an upgrade or if that's just depending on the model. So yeah. So unfortunately, there's no power bump for the TRD model. I mean, when it comes to off-roading, yes, a power bump will help in torque specifically, but that's not the case here. A lot of TRDs don't have that. I mean, I don't think I recall one TRD right now that has had a power bump in their specific TRD trims. So the focus is on the terrain response system, then the suspension and the tires, the rims, and then obviously all the branding you get with it. So, the last Rav4 I drove was the hybrid. Very different in terms of character, even though it's the same model. I already feel like I'm in a very different car, just because the way it sounds, the engine is running full time as opposed to the hybrid, and then the feel and look inside and out. So I'm paying attention to the suspension here because they are very different. One's tuned for efficiency and comfort. This one's tuned for more off-road performance. So let's just get a feel for that on this drive. I'm gonna give it a little bit here, a little bit of beans, just to see what it's got, and just to see if there's anything extra I could sense compared to the last Rav4 I drove, even though it's not the fully performance model. So here we go. You could go into sport sequential mode, shift it. We're in fourth. We could go down to second here comfortably, and let's roll on it. Let the drive take care of the rest of the shifting. So that beeping right there is the lane keep assist, which is pretty cool. It's nice to see that go. It does go on usually when you are accelerating, and it can expect you, depending on how you're veering, to go over the lane. So it's good to see that thing's being attentive. It's responsive to my driving. It's not intrusive. It's not going to actually push you back into your lane, but it's letting you know, hey, you are at risk of merging into the wrong lane. So I like to see that. The power, I think delivery is sufficient. It's not amazing, but I think it's good enough for daily driving. In terms of the noise, I thought it sounded good. I don't know if I have to double check if it's an upgraded exhaust system in the back, TRD exhaust. Although they wore polished tips, which I did appreciate. You do a lot of engine noise. It's not the most damped vehicle, I think, in my opinion. It's compared to like a Highlander, which is very well insulated. You can hear any of the off-road, any of the road noises. But I think honestly, for something like this, and where we are going to be taking off-road, you do want to have some sense of the road and what you're driving on. I think that's something good. In terms of steering, I haven't gotten too much feedback yet when I go over bumps. That's mostly just through the suspension. So let's just take it on a turn here. So when it comes to price, these ones are going to expect a premium. This one does have a dealership markup, unfortunately, and it's asking for $46,000. So if you take that out, it's $38,000 from the factory with the options this does have, as I mentioned in the voiceover. Now, would I pay this much personally? If I were in the $46,000 range, I would rather get something like a Tacoma, where you're really going to get like a Tacoma TRD Pro, which is in the 40 cents, $1,000 more at this point, obviously negotiations aside, just because with that, you do have the Fox Racing suspension. I did a full review on that. I'll link it down below. But here you're getting a there's no bed, and you're getting a lot of interior space compared to the Tacoma. But that's just my opinion. I do think there's something to be said about this car. I think it is worth having in the Rav4 lineup, and that's the beauty. Is there's a lot of other options out there. You do have the limited, the hybrid. So there's a ton of options, and I'm going to be covering a lot of those later. So if there is any specific trims you want to see a dedicated review on, let me know down in the comments below. But for the purpose of this one, I think it stakes its claim in the Rav4 lineup, and I think there is a buyer out there that wants it because it has that rugged look, and there is some performance to back it up from a suspension tune standpoint. Oh, before I wrap up the video, I do want to go through the driving modes real quick. So I've been in Eco this entire time, and you get that green accents on the gauge cluster and that center display that you have here. If you go into normal, it feels pretty different. I mean, Eco is just gonna like hold up the gears as high as it can without downshifting. So that's the one difference you're gonna get there. You go into sport, everything gets red, it automatically downshifts, and it'll go. So that just gives you a sense that it will do it. It won't do it with the most amount of power possible. It will not increase the horsepower, but it'll get you there. So in terms of the terrain select, I showed you guys how to use the knobs, and I like the color accents. I mean, I think it's a nice touch. Even on the button, you can't see it when you're outside just because it's a pretty dim light. You could see it kind of change tones, but I'd really be curious to see how that performs when you're actually on a trail or off-road somewhere. So the cool thing is you do get your telemetry in that center gauge cluster, which is nice to see. And yeah, so with that said, that's pretty much gonna wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If there's any other Toyotas you want to see, if you want me to do a full walkthrough on the engine system, I do plan on doing that in the future, or any other trims, options, let me know that in the comments below. I will respond to almost all of them pretty much. So yeah, smash that like button if you want to support this channel and help me out. It brings it up to more people who might be interested in these types of videos, as well as subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.